Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Toga Motorsport. We are here just at the end of the practice session for the 5,000 members meeting here at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. Joining me tonight in the commentary box with us is Lorenzo.
Hello, and thank you for having me today. It's been a while since I've done my last, which was also my first commentary session here at Toga. That was the mini Enduro series at Bathurst, if I remember correctly, with Rio.
Yeah,
So it's been
a little
about
while.
a month,
Looking forward to
a
it.
month and a half. I am. Spa is a great track, and I think we got some good drivers on here. I think it'll be exciting to see who wins this in the end.
Wonderful. So, qualifying has gone live. Good evening, everybody in chat. Evening, Peter. Evening, Henry. I'm desperately trying to remember what your name is in Discord because I know. But yes, and Sinkle. Hello to you. Wonderful. I hope it is all going to go well, and my computer's not going to turn itself into a potato tonight. There's race control. So, just because I'm curious, how are you driving around Spa?
Admittedly, not that great.
Join the club.
Nah, I'm not particularly the best driver, I will admit. I mostly just do amateurish, I guess you could say, leagues. Not even on ACC either. I mostly stick to R-Factor 2. I find myself the most comfortable there, surprisingly.
That is
I do as well. Assetto Corsa occasionally, I guess.
nice.
And that's about it. And I just mostly stick to what I enjoy myself in lower class open wheelers and stock cars, and just stick to those two. And whatever happens, happens.
Very
Really.
nice. Very nice. As the first few cars are just about to start their opening flying laps, we'll just stay here following Ethan Davis as they are the ones who are out of the grid and out of the box first. Being hunted down by the Mustang of... Nope. Not Hunter. Not Holm. I'll find the right Mustang eventually. Not Paul. Which one is that? It's the other Toga Academy Mustang. Oh, Vraga. Of course it is. I'll just settle up time first. Obviously, it's going to be a couple of minutes before they get anything in. Yeah, should be good fun. Now, we do have, I'm just going to double check. As far as I'm aware, there is yes, we are live stewarded tonight, so there will be live penalties, etc., on track. So that does also mean we get the opportunity to, if things go very, very wrong, there will be a red flag. Hopefully they don't, but there could potentially be a red flag if 20% of the grid or more is involved in a major accident or accidents in the first two sectors. Then we shall see red flag and everybody peels off to the side of the track and returns to garage safely. And then the stewards will go through and check everything out. I've just realised I've got the wrong screen on that. Let's try that one. And yeah, we'll see how things go. How was the commentary for Bathurst? Unfortunately, I was racing and had nothing but technical problems for the couple of hours that I was on track, so I didn't really get a chance to see what was going. Pop in and say hi. But I hope it was enjoyable for yourself.
It was draining, I will definitely say, especially with the red flag as well, which prolonged it a bit. I mean, it's an endurance event. I'm more suited, I will say, from experience to like sprint events and like open wheel sprint races, which are shorter, like half an hour, 45 minutes, more along those lines. So to have had been there for about 7 hours, I think, was definitely draining, but it was definitely fun. And I think Korea and me both, after the race,
Yeah,
if I recall correctly, said that I was great fun commenting, but also really, really tiring.
yeah. The endurance events are a interesting beast to get your head around. They're as much of a challenge for the comms crew as they are um, for the
The drivers,
drivers. Sorry, it's been a
absolutely, no.
long day.
No, yeah, completely understandable.
So
But yeah, you have a point. The endurance races are as big of a task to the commentators, not as much obviously as to the drivers, but I mean, you can't expect in an endurance race there to be action all race around. Eventually, everything's gonna simmer down before it boils back up again, and while in that time period, you have to think of something to keep the people watching entertained, to keep them still on the stream. And there's only so many topics you can go through in 6 hours. Or well, if you're gonna be realistic with the amount of action that would be, probably like 4.5 hours. So that's 4.5 hours of essentially waffle that you have to come up with on the spot.
yeah, it's good fun. It is it is good fun. I quite honestly I enjoy both being in the comms box and on track. It's a slightly odd situation to be stuck here going, I want to go do comms and then I want to go racing and I can't do both. But no, it's really good fun. Evening, Ethan. Out, Ethan. First few lap times are coming through and they are spectacular. I am. There's the right button. So, first few lap times coming through. We have Ethan Davis, who you've been following around in the Toga Motorsport McLaren, is currently our pole sitter with a 2-minute 16.820, followed up by Laurent Kemko. I'm going to go with that and hope for the best. With a 2-minute 17.080.
I'll give it a
Hunter
shot. Oh, no.
Hunter Davis in third with a 2:17.385. Kenrith Reese with a 2:18.202. And Donkerwalk with a 2:18.255. Rounds out your top five.
I will say only the top three of Davis, Kmetsko, and Davies are within a second of each other. Everyone else is above a second slower so far. However, there is still
There's still
just over 12 minutes.
There is about 12
left.
minutes left on the clock, which means 5-6-ish laps for most drivers. We're depending on what they opt to do. Obviously, if they opt to go for a fresh set of tyres or need to top up on fuel, that will obviously take a chunk of time out, given that it's a 2-minute 20 lap, basically, if you have to pit and then get back out to do a flying lap. You're looking at about 2:20, 2.5, roughly. How else have we got? Anybody on spectacular improvements? Kevin Pacuri down in 16th is on a good improvement, just going to come across the line, and that is going to put him into 13th, 2:18.770. Very nicely done in that M4 BMW.
Not a big improvement, but an improvement nevertheless. And
It was about a second of an improvement. It wasn't a huge jump in places, but it was about a second in time.
Exactly. That just shows the field as well we have today. A second of an improvement, but only 3 places gained, and he's already dropping back down as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the times here going, I'm probably gonna. I know I can struggle. I struggle to get down below 220, down to a 220. So I know I'm way down the back of this field, lap time wise. That's also why I hide in the comms box, because I'm not very quick. Speaking of big improvements, Paul Mancunian keeps it legal with a big run across the curb there. Goes 18th, 219, 375. And the big old Mustang. A couple of yellow flags out on track, but that is, I think, people just bailing on laps, etc. Who else have we got? That's not a legal lap, but that could have been impressive with Oshikin. A few drivers are struggling to set times. One of the tricks I have found with this track is because of its length and complexity, even if it's a slow time, getting out and pulling a lap, you're not really supposed to be pointing at that angle to the whatever that was. Yeah, Peter Romeo, you do a last to whatever. Just want to have fun. Yeah, nice one. But yeah, getting an early lap time in and just getting a lap time on the board. Doesn't matter too much how legal it is, how fast it is, as long as it's legal, and then you can work on improving that because you know you've got a spot on the grid. Obviously, the start for this, depending on what you're used to driving, I don't know if you've seen anything or raced with the start line that we run here, because we have the Spa 24-hour endurance start line. So the finish line and the timing starts on the normal spot, but they don't get released until they're on the run down to out of La Source down to Eau Rouge and Radion.
Yeah, I remember having a race in a league that had that same as well. I think I've only done one league race on ACC on Spa-Francorchamps, and I don't remember it being a good experience, admittedly. I think that was
a
red
very
flag
bit
immediately on the first. Yeah. I remember there being, I think, a red flag immediately up through Radion. On the first lap, I think someone lost the rear end or got hit from the back, and from there just lost control and spun out in front of everyone else. I managed to avoid it, just barely, if I remember correctly. But
Yeah.
there was no saving that. There was about 10-15 cars stacked up.
Yeah, it's not great when it goes wrong there, because there's not a huge amount of space and it's a full commitment set of corners, so you really have to know the space on your cars and where everybody else is around you. So having your little radar coming on, keeping an eye on your mirrors, you're almost looking back and sideways as much as you are looking forwards. Just here following Andre Oshikin for Mad Red Panda Racing. It's currently on a half-second improvement, which will be a reasonable jump, actually. Might even manage to get into the top 5 if we can hang on to this one on the run up into Stavelo? No, that's not Stavelo. That's Bruxelles. Is it?
I was
Why is my brain failing to remember the corner names? This is coming into the old bus stop. Anybody that remembers the old bus stop where it used to actually be a bus stop shape, well done. I'm sorry you're old. And indeed, Oshikin goes into 5th, 2 minutes 17.497. Our current pole sitter is still Ethan Davis, has managed to improve 2:16.662, followed by Martin Varga with a 2:16.727. Laurent Kemko is in 3rd still with a 2:17.080. That hasn't been an improvement as of yet, although is on an improving lap time. And Hunter Davis, is best time is a 2 minutes 17.157. And that lap from Oshikin that we just saw, that was a 2:17.497. That is your top 5. 6th is
Jaroslav Dabrowski.
Dabrowski? Thank you very much.
Dabrowski.
Um,
I'm very good with Slavic names, seeing as I'm Croatian.
You are going to be very helpful tonight. It's one of the ones I really struggle with. They've got lots of W's and odd letters in odd places.
That's mostly the Eastern Europeans with the W's and everything, but the general gist of all the Slavic languages, you have the what in English would be the CH ch sound, they all have that, and the SH sh and the ZH zh.
Very helpful.
It's just a matter of different
It's
ways.
learning the Unfortunately, I'm not amazing with English, let alone other languages. So any help is greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
So just looking at Jurovsky there with a 2:17.567 is their best lap. Stein Donkovolk in seventh is with a 2:17.727. Patrick with a 2:18.162 in eighth. Ninth is Martin Sorensen for MS Racing. Is a 2:18.167, and Kenrith Reese has just jumped up into his eighth, dropping Sorensen and Patrick down a place with a 2:18.002.
That was a very good lap by Kenneth Race. Race, I think. Is it Race or Race?
Yeah, he jumped up quite a number of places there. Reese?
I can never get my hand around the AE in the Dutch.
It depends on which
language.
country.
I think it's the same principle. I think for both.
No, because that's the
Dutch or
they're racing
Belgian.
under the Belgian. Is that the Belgian flag? Is that the same as Stein?
It is.
Yeah,
yes.
so that's the Belgian flag. So that has some Germanic influence. I do remember that much.
And I know Walloon and Dutch are technically like different, although Walloon is more like just a branch of Dutch. But I think the principle is the same on how they say the AE. Is it gonna phrase? Either way, he's
right.
either way, he's dropped Patrick Beesters and Martin Sørensen behind himself as of now.
Speaking of which, there's a number of people who are on final flyers here. They've got a couple of minutes to go, or 3.5 minutes to go precisely. So they might get one more after this. Jurovsky is on an improvement of 0.3, and just watch this. All commentators curse all of these. Kieran Macy is racing under the Formula GT banner, who's currently half a second up on their previous best time, which is a 2:18.270. So if we can improve that, we'll jump them back into the top 10. Anybody else on an improvement? That is Romeo is out attempting to set a lap time to position themselves ahead of Daryl Longername and Lewis Morton Evans in that rather spectacular coloured BMW. I almost want to say that's like a marshmallowy rhubarb and custard kind of colour.
Well, I
That
don't know
probably
what to
means
say.
nothing to you.
It was a very nice colour, but
It's
I
a
wouldn't
very
really
lovely colour.
go for marshmallow and rhubarb. I mean, it looks more like bubblegum pink to me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We just jump back on board with Jurovsky there, who is coming up to the end of their lap. Is on for a heck of a time. Pulled a massive chunk of time out in the last corner. There goes fourth. 2:17.120. Very nicely done. In fact, taking fastest first sector, so getting a fantastic run out of La Source and up through the chicane and down up to the top of the hill there with a 40.310. Incidentally, Ethan Davis, who is currently our pole sitter, hasn't actually got a fastest sector overall.
That just shows that Spa really is just a track of consistency. You can
completely.
have 2 fastest sectors and then you can have an accident anywhere on the track really, because Spa as a track is just pure concentration.
It is.
It's tight in most cars. It's flowing. It has corners that easily can throw you off on how fast or slow you need to go into them. So I think it just goes to show that Spa is a track that chews up people who do not have enough concentration, and the people that do benefit from it greatly.
Yeah, it very much does. Now, it's going to be interesting to see. So I'm just following Macy here in the Formula GT Porsche car 626. 3.5 tenths up coming into the last corner. Gets a bit of a wiggle on, manages to hold on to it. Still 3 losing time left. Hand over fist, does not get the drive out of there. Does improve, but not by much. Has got time, but does have... is that Hunter? That is Hunter Davis in the other Formula GT car. Chewing down his neck, breathing down his neck well and truly on that one. Now, this is an interesting one. We'll keep an eye on this one. Martin Varga is hovering around a green lap, was going into the source, was actually high enough, fast enough to have potentially taken pole, but is currently losing some time. He's about 300ths down at this point in time, and that is the checkered flag. So this will be anybody who's still out there on an improvement. This will be the last chance. So we have Jordan McGonigal, who is just coming through the S's of Piff Paff, is currently 2/10 up. We have Portrovsky in the Aston Martin, who is on an improvement. Lewis Morton Evans is on an improvement as well. Coming up towards the... that's Piff Paff as well. Coming out of Pateron, dropping down into Piff Paff. 3/10 up is Patrick, and Macy is a 10th up, as well as Donkewalk crosses the line to finish up there, and that is 2/10. That is a 2:17.727 is the best lap for them. Patrick is still up, 2/10 up. McGonigal hovering, losing time coming out of there, but he's a 10th or so up. Improves, but doesn't improve position. Within a few hundredths there of 12th, which is... Ooh.
Roka Ziburis.
Zibris, sorry, thank you. That was a subscribe from Sinkle. Thank you very much for subscribing. That was a random noise in my headset. Petrovsky there is coming around to finish their lap. 19.2 stays in 19th with a 19.065. And I believe that is everybody that can put a lap down has completed. There we go. That brings through your qualification there. And we shall get ready to go racing then.
I think I saw Kevin Macy there jump up to 7th in the last second.
Quite possibly. Macy was on an improvement. Indeed it does, with 2:17.530. Very nicely done. So fastest sectors. Fastest first sector is the car 27 of Patrick. No, that is Dorovsky, sorry. With a 40.310. Fastest second sector. Oh, I don't have that information now. Awesome, I didn't see the names.
Lost media.
I want that one, and I want to do that. I am hoping this is still going. 1 hour 23 is a sprint race. Yeah, honestly, it kind of is. Anything kind of couple of hours, it really is a sprint race. Endurance really doesn't start till sort of 4 hours, really. Anything that's more than what you're legally allowed to do by the FIAs in 6 hours is really an endurance race, which is 4 hours in any 6 is the maximum amount of time you're allowed to spend in a car. Racing at an endurance race. That's a useless bit of information for you. So, I'm going to hope that this is all still running. It looks like it is. Or is it? Yes, it is. Marvellous.
I think it is.
It is. Sorry, I'm mildly paranoid about that because I've had it keel over on me so many times. Right, do you want to run us through the grid from 28th up then?
I think I'll leave it to you.
Fantastic. So we have in 28th it is Portrovsky. 27th is Daryl Longaname. Andra in 26th. Peter Romeo in 25th. 24th is Khrushchev Vroshovsky. I'm going to hope that's correct. Sami Peterson in 23rd. Emery Ozduru in 22nd. Kasper Mukison in 21st. 20th is Oliver Upton. Paul Mancunian in 19th. Lewis Morton Evans in 18th. Bart de Kouwer in 17th. 16th is Kevin Pikiri. Martin Delgard in 15th. 14th is Dan Holm. Jordan McGonigal is in 13th. Rokas Zibri, I apologise, I've completely butchered that one, is in 12th. Martin Sorensen is in 11th. 10th is Patrick Steindonkervolk in 9th. Kenneth Rees in 8th. Kieran Macy in 7th. Andrei Oshikin in 6th. 5th is Durovsky. 4th is Hunter Davis. Martin Varga in 3rd. Laurent Kemko is in 2nd. And our pole sitter is Ethan Davis in with car number 6, who's going to lead us away from the grid. So, hour and 23. How's this going to go?
Hopefully clean at the start.
Yeah, very much hopefully clean.
I think that's something everyone here can hope for. The commentators, the drivers and the spectators. That the start is clean, so that we can just get on to the real action immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, bit of a long one for a outlap here, a formation lap. Useless bit of information. Technically, because the track is measured at 7.001 kilometres long, it is technically over the 7 kilometre limit for the safety car. Technically, they would be any FIA sanctioned event would be allowed to run 2 safety cars at this track.
You see, I have racingcircus.info pulled up on Google, and you are indeed wrong, as the track is measured as 7.004 kilometers.
There's 3 meters.
Hey, 3 meters counts.
Yeah, true. It varies depending on. I do know in ACC, I'm pretty sure it's measured as 1, but either way, it is the limit for. 1 safety car is 7 kilometres. Beyond that, you are not required to, but you are allowed to run more than 1 safety car. So there is your useless pub trivia. I'm sure there will be more. I've got far too much useless knowledge in this brain. Nothing actually useful in there.
I might have an interesting piece of trivia.
Ooh, go on.
Hold on, let me just fact check this. Yes indeed, it is correct, despite the fact that the circuit is called Spa-Francorchamps. Majority of the circuit, excluding the Camel Straight and excluding Radion or Rouge, the Camel Straight, and the first corner in the Lecombe sequence, most of the track belongs to the Principality, or I don't know if this is it's not really a Principality. It's more like
due to the fact that it used to be a much longer circuit, and it started in Spa-Francorchamps and then went all the way down. So Stavelot is known as that because it used to go all the way down to the village of Stavelot. Then it used to go all the way down to Malmedy, was another of the villages it used to go through. It was an absolutely colossal circuit. If you go look up one of the laps.
23-ish kilometers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something absolutely massive. And over the years, it's been shortened and shuffled around to the layout we see today, which is now a Grade 1 circuit. We will see them all go side by 2 very shortly. There we go. Everybody is starting to put the hammer down to line up to where they should be on their starting grids. Hopefully getting the tyres and brakes nice and toasty, because you're not going to have any tyre temperature or brake temperature come the end of the Kemmel Straight. Also,
I do wonder as well.
Not that long ago, it was entirely a largely public road track.
I think that was up until 30-ish years ago, I want to say.
No, it was up into the early 2000s. It's in the last 25 years.
Actually?
That's a scary prospect.
I don't know. Well, I wouldn't know it, 'cause I wasn't alive by then.
Yeah, I was only just about functional. Right, we are 2 by 2 as they roll into La Source to get this race underway. Let's see how they get away from this one. Everybody getting all sorts of shapes of close. Oh, I would not be wanting to get that tight behind somebody going down here. You're going to want to give yourself as much space as possible. Let's go racing. We are all clear of La Source. Hold. Let's go racing. How are
I
we?
saw a couple of drivers there being really close to the person in front of them. And I don't think that's something you'd particularly want to do if you're not as confident in yourself. But it seems to have worked out. I think someone has gone back there.
Ooh, 808, that is Mancunian, has had a rough start there. Has been eaten alive well and truly and is in the pits already. Let's have a quick skim back and see what happened there. Ooh, ends up nose first into the wall. That is a big hit. That's going to be a lot of damage to deal with. Car 69 dropping down the order. Not sure where that is or what's happened to you. We might just see the beginning of this one. You are stuck in the middle of the track. That is not a good place to be. I don't think there's been enough to class that as a red flag. There have been a few incidents, but nothing major. Vast majority of the grid getting through unscathed. This is a bit of a chilled out fun race, so it won't be too crazy. Nothing to report from... I'm going to have a look. Oh, there's nobody in the stewards. I might be wrong about the live stewarding. I apologise. There is nobody currently in the steward's office. Steward's box. I might be wrong about the live stewarding. I do apologise. Possibly because there's quite a few of them racing. Either way, we're going to follow through with our second position, as it looks like Ethan Davis is making a bit of a break for it. But Laurent Kemko has got Martin Varga for company there. Behind, followed very closely, followed by Hunter Davis, and Darovsky is up into 5th there. And is going to be closing in on this grid as Varga is all over the back and chasing down that Ferrari. It's going to be a drag race down the pit straight, and it looks like Ferrari's got the run out of the last corner as Patrick gets passed by Macy coming out of the last corner, and that will be a Hungry Mustang hunting down a Porsche going up Kemmel Straight. Lewis Morton Evans making an improvement on going past Bart de Cower in the Toga Academy car. That is the Aston of Peter Romeo going scything through the grid there. Sammy Peterson is has managed to get past McCuson and is now hunting down.
Oh, and I think that someone spun on the
that's a
straight.
spinner. That is Kemko. That is out of a good position, and that is not a good place to be. Well done, holding.
Oh no!
That was a hard hit. Couldn't really do a lot about that, unfortunately. As that was, they were doing everything they should do. Hold their brakes where they are on track. Let everybody else go around you. 777, but the Cower having an off-track moment, going through the top of the course there, running wide and running deep into the chicane. Has made it all through and unscathed. 421 is recovering. That is that Casper McCuson G-Force Racing Team recovering after that big hit on the McLaren who I think has bailed. I'm not seeing anybody in the pits that may have opted to bail on the race on that one. I do hope they are okay. That was a big hit to take, especially if you're on a direct drive wheel.
Yeah, I would like to see what happened to Laurent Kmetzke there, because I know he was essentially holding up the three drivers behind him, in Martin Wager, Hunter Davies, and Dabrowski. But I'm curious to see whether he just lost control coming out of Eau Rouge, or whether there was some contact by Martin Wager.
I don't think I can get back that far, unfortunately, to be able to see that. Martin Sorensen has made a move on Andre there in the 69 Ferrari on the 7 Aston Martin, and is scampering away, as it looks like that is Andre has run that into the wall. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. May have made a mistake and couldn't really recover that one. That is, Peter Romeo going side by side up the inside of Lewis Morton Evans, side by side down the pit straight. Who's got?
I think not quite yet made a stick, but I was very ambitious there. He's going to have to yield though.
Yeah, ambitious around the outside of the source on the BMW, couldn't quite make it on the brakes. As Martin Sorensen has had a bit of a moment and is all okay. Daryl Longaname is making some improvements up through Eau Rouge Radion there as it goes past Peterson and is chasing down the white Ferrari number 25 of Rashowitz. I'm going to butcher some of these names. Morton Evans is still battling with Peter Romeo. We're going to jump back and stay with this one as this is going for it well and truly. I will keep an eye on the timing screens for you for anything else.
I think there's more here to win for Lewis Morton Evans as well, because there's a big train up ahead of them. So if he can get past Romeo here quick enough, then he might capitalize on the drivers in front as well.
Yeah.
Because to me, it looks like he's carrying more speed than the train in front.
Yeah, Romeo is a very quick driver, hence why he's in the Toga Academy. Not the Toga Academy, the Toga Esports team, the main actual fast human beings. And he is all over the back of Lewis Morton Evans. Is biding his time a little bit. Obviously, you can see the train up ahead. You don't want to cost yourself time by battling a car that could be dragging you up the road. So obviously the big BMW, you're going to punch a nice big hole for that Aston Martin to get dragged along as they go. Oh, this is not somewhere you want to go side by side. Thinks better of it and hangs back, but gets the drive going out of there. But he's on the outside for the last chicane. Can he hold it all the way around the outside? Let's find out. No, but can't get stacked up. Can't make a switchback happen. And that is Morton Evans as Pakiri and Upton are swapping places. Who's got the run down into the hairpin at the end of the lap? Looks like Pakiri holds out. That is 78. Morton Evans did not see what happened. Let's go back and see. Was that contact, or did they jump, or were they pushed?
That was contact. Morton Evans tried to make a move down the inside of the current front into La Source. Unfortunately, didn't brake in time. There was a big contact and he spun himself around basically.
Oh, I see. Yep, goes for a bit of a dive. It's a very low percentage lunge on that one. Just ends up, nearly collects one of the Aston Martins there. And ends up spun pointing the wall, but no harm done. Oliver Upton has overtaken Kerry Bakiri there nice and neatly, and is past 421 is just, you're causing a yellow flag in the pit. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. That might be some errors going on. Peter Romeo has now got past Delgard and is going to be chasing down Kevin Pakiri. Ooh, that's going to be somebody hunting. That's going to be a hunting down well and truly there. back at the front, Ethan Davis has run away to the tune of about a second to Martin Varga. Durovsky is in seconds, about 3 seconds back on there. On them, and Hunter Davis is about half a second back again as Rokas. I'm going to go with the first name because I'm going to butcher the surname even worse. Is past Patrick there in the Mustang and is now going to be hunting down this Kieran Macy Oshikin battle that's going on. Speaking of which, how's that getting on?
Seems to be getting on well. There's a bit of a train again forming here. From 6 down to, I think that is 11th. 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. 6 down to 11th, so that's 5 cars all there, ready to capitalize on each other's mistakes. As I said during qualifying, Spa really is a track where patience and concentration are the most important things. And we saw, I think that was Rokas Jiburis going a bit wide there. Very fitting for him to do that, although it wasn't that big of a mistake, but it's certainly something that over the long run might not help him, as we see Patrick Beisters closing up on him and Andrei Oreshkin defending himself from Kevin Macy, and he successfully defended there. Although that's set up Rokas Jiburis, I think, for a good move, and he's gonna make it stick. Not quite yet. He has done it. Good overtake by Rokas Jiburis on Kevin Macy there.
There we go. Well done. That was the Andrei Oshkin getting passed by a couple of people there. Well and truly, well done. I'm just having a quick look about the pit window for yourselves. It doesn't say anything in the information. It was meant to be an endurance race and it got curtailed, so I can't remember. If there is, it will probably be 10-15 minutes in the middle of the race if there is one. I did one of these before and I can't remember what it was. I'm pretty sure it was a 10-minute pit window in the middle of the race. I'm probably going to be wrong, but we'll go with that for now. Very nicely done there. So, who else have we got? Yeah, Oshikin has got Rokas. Rokas is hunting down Macy well and truly for 7th place. Dan Holm goes for an off-track moment. No, that's the battle we were looking at. That's doing very nicely. Up at the front, Durovsky is still holding around 3 seconds from Varga. Varga is about hovering around a second back from Ethan Davis. That is your top 3. Hunter Davis in 4th, about a third of a second back from the Mustang of Durovsky. That's going to be a battle and a half. This is 2 identical cars as 666. Ooh, 666 into the wall. That's going to be hard into the wall at the top of Radion and into the pits. Tumbling down the order. That's going to be a long stop, unfortunately for you. Does open up for Oshikin now, who is under fire from Patrick. Very nicely done. Can he hang on to this one around the outside of the BMW in that Mustang? Now the BMW is on the outside. Whoo, side by side, still going down into the hairpin, and Patrick is through, and that opens the door for Donkerwalk, who gets through, and also it looks like it's going to be McGonagall through as well, but is on the outside of No Name there, and is through and clear. Well done. That was not good. That was 7th down to 10th in about 4 corners for Oshikin.
Yeah, Andrei Oreshkin tried to gain a position there, but I don't think he played that smart. Knowing the Mustang, I think from experience prior, has very, very good straight line speed, and I think trying to force a move on the outside through a bit of a twisty, not really, but it's a short sequence of corners vaguely, and trying to force a move there with a car like a Mustang is not particularly maybe the best thing to do, seeing as the Mustang's main main power is straight line
It's
power.
straight line. Yeah, the Mustang, it's not as cumbersome through the corners. And yes, Oliver Upton is in a Mustang. He's in the 49 Ford Mustang under the Toga Esports banner tonight. Currently 1.7 seconds back on Peter Romeo, with Bart DeCauer a second back from him. As that is McGonigal and Donkerwalk battling it out. So that is Esports versus Academy drivers. And it looks like it's going to go the way of Donkerwalk, although can McGonigal get a drive on the exit down into Eau Rouge? Does not look like it. Donkerwalk there getting a really nice run out of the hairpin and holding off McGonigal. And both of them now hunting down Patrick, who is the next car up the road.
Very good defense there from Patrick Basters. No, sorry, Donkerwalk from Jordan McGonigal. I think Jordan McGonigal as well, as we can see, it's Esports versus Academy. I think Jordan McGonigal has something to prove here. I think he would like to get past Stein Donkerwalk as fast as he can to prove to the people here at Toga I can go off from Academy.
Yeah, Jordan actually does a heck of a lot with the mentoring server as well when there are mentoring events going, and is also a very useful help within that as well in general. So massive thank you to him. It helps keep that all running. Keep an eye out for season 15. We are intending to hopefully have mentoring back. Unfortunately, Barry, who runs all of that, has had some fairly large life movement related issues going on. All good, all very good, but unfortunately over the last season 14 we weren't able to run it. Should be back for season 15, and then we will be, so keep an eye out on that. I believe it is !mentor, and you will get a link to everything that you need there with a few bits of information. As we saw, that was Patrick go down 2 places there, got it wrong and ran wide, and both Donkerwalk and McGonigal there taking full, saying thank you very much and taking full advantage of it. I'll get the words out eventually. Peter Romeo has just got past Delgard and is now on the tail of Pakiri well and truly, and is going to be sniffing down the rear wing of that BMW very, very soon as they run down into the hairpin. Ooh, goes very, very deep on the brakes. Is this going to leave him under fire from the McLaren behind? No, I don't think it is, but he's going to have lost a lot of time on the BMW.
He has, and I think that this little sandwich here, I think most people here can lose more than they can win. Because now Romeo has to concern himself more with Dalgard behind him after he lost time there in La Source than he should concern himself with chasing Pakiri. And Pakiri at the same time, he has a smaller gap to Romeo than he does. Oh!
Dalgard drops a rear, lights the rears up, and that is game over there. As DeCauer, and this is a battle for Upton, and DeCauer and Delgard are all now rattling around each other. Delgard, obviously, we just saw having to recover. Looks like it's stacked up these 2 cars, and that is DeCauer is round the outside now and is clear, and that is Upton all over the back of that McLaren. Is he going to get the run down into Puon? Alongside, oh, that was tight, but makes it stick. Forces Delgard to back out there. So that mistake, very, very costly. Whatever damage they've picked up from kicking the wall, and another 2 places lost on top of that.
And of course, Dalgard might have damages, of course, but I think we saw there what I mentioned earlier with the Mustang's main ace being the straight line speed. We saw how much Upton gained down that straight into La Source, But you get my point.
Yeah, down to the
You went
hairpin.
from being half a car length behind to side by side on entry of the
Ooh,
corner.
we have Holm. What happened? Sorry to jump in there. Holm has dropped it big time going up through the last portion of the course. Through. Oh, gets a twitch on and eats Barry. Oh, well and truly there. That's a very high speed place to get it wrong. Looks to have recovered and is going to be diving for the pits. Now, the question is, if they take full service, that should mean, if it does clear their pit stop, we know that there's not a pit stop window. If it doesn't, then we know there is a pit stop window. So I will keep an eye on that one on the timing screens. McGonagall and Donkerwalk. Donkerwalk having to go a little bit, feeling the need to go a little bit defensive there, up into the top of the course there. But they, very much keeping each other honest there. BMW trying to get all over the back of that Aston Martin. Does need to watch out because that Aston Martin Ferrari, that Mustang behind is hunting, and if there's a slip up from either of these cars, that the next two or three cars behind are going to capitalise big time on that as well. Speaking of gaps, we have Martin Varga is now right up, starting to get right up under the rear wing of Ethan Davis.
That gap's closed under our nose, basically. Remember,
yeah, it's been
5 minutes, 10 minutes ago, maybe it was around 3 seconds the last time you checked, which was around 7 minutes ago, I'd say.
Yeah, about 3 or 4 laps. It's dropped down. The gap's come down a little bit. Obviously, any issues that Davis has had, Varga hasn't, and has just managed to capitalise on that. And that big, brutal Mustang. It is a big old American muscle car underneath to drive. It does like to wag its tail and light its tyres up, but it is under the rear wing now and looking for a place to go past.
It is, and I think what I would like to say, is that Martin Varga could have caught up to Ethan Davies earlier. Ethan Davies?
Yes,
either way.
Ethan.
Apologies. I'm just not being particularly well rested today, so
it's okay. This is all meant to be fun and chill, so don't panic too much. It's also quite a lot when you don't have, if you're struggling to get, if you don't have all the timing screens in front of you like I have, it's quite tricky to keep track of all the names.
Yeah.
So it's nothing against you at all. Who else have we got hunting around? Sorensen is in the pits well and truly. I think that car may be parked for the rest of the race.
What I was going to say before I forgot what I was going to say is that I think Martin Varga could have caught up with Ethan Davies maybe 2 laps earlier than he has already, because we remember before Laurent Smetsко had lost control of his car and spun out and DNF'd, that Martin Varga was being held up by him for the first 2 laps, right on his tail as well. So I think had Martin Varga been ahead of Laurent Smetsко on start, or if he had cleared him on the first lap on the run up to the Lecombe chicane in the first lap, that he could have already been past Ethan Davis, maybe even.
Maybe. As I always say, it's one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass. You can catch up to the back of somebody, but it's then a chunk of work to try and get past that next person. That person, no matter how fast you catch them, if they're going to make their car wide, as long as it's legal, then they can make it as hard as they want for you to get past. So that's why we're seeing this gap is hovering around 0.3 to about 0.5 of a second with that Mustang. Mustang is fantastically good on the brakes, as we saw the gap close right up into the hairpin, but the McLaren just a little bit better traction out of the slow speed stuff, and is able to make that gap back up and make the ground back up.
Look at the gap closing there on the camel
right
straight.
under the rear wing, right into the slipstream now. Don't think they're really going to be in a position to have a dive on the brakes. No, not quite, but definitely looking. Keep it consistent, keep hitting your marks, and it's actually very tricky to get past somebody without them making a mistake.
And I think if Martin Varga keeps up this pace as well, that he can get past Ethan Davis in the next lap, maybe 2.
Oh, they
Because
are
we see how much
lap times.
time.
They are
We
trading
see
lap
how
times.
much time that Mustang gains on the McLaren in front on the straight, especially in slipstream as well. If he can just
Varga,
set up corners perfectly, like here,
yeah,
Martin
Davis
Varga
ran wide through
might
corn.
not even weigh that much. No, he yields. He
that
knows
was
this is not place.
Yeah, that wasn't going to be on around the outside through there, through Piff Path. What have they got through going down into Campus and Curve Pool Frere? Looks okay for now. So, yeah, they are trading lap time. So last time across the stripe, they were it was 2:18.275 for Varga, 2:18.382 for Davis. Varga has the fastest lap of the race with a 2:17.830. Davis with a 2:17.910. So they are trading lap times with tenths between them all the time. We've got that straight line speed. The Mustang trying to go around the outside into the bus stop. Can't quite make it stick, but have they got the drive on the exit? No, but they are fully up under the rear wing of that McLaren. McLaren's just got the drive out of these low speed corners that the Mustang hasn't got.
It has, but look at how close that Mustang gets on the straights and on the braking, especially in the slipstream as well. And I think this might be crucial here. If Martin Varga can get through Radion and Eau Rouge better than Ethan Davis can, I think he might be on for a move.
Yeah, but doing that too often is going to get you noticed by the computer. You've got to watch out, particularly across the top there with your track limit. It's a really easy place coming up through Eau Rouge and Radion as to whether you have... it's really easy to pick up a track limit warning, and 3 of those, and you get a drive-through. 3 of those? 4 of those? I think it's 4 total. If you get a 4th, you get a drive-through. As we see,
I'm not sure if it
depends. In the pits now.
I'm not sure if it depends on track or league, whether how many track limit warnings you get.
Nope, it is 3 at... I believe it's 3 that you can get before you get a drive-through. If you get a 4th, you get a drive-through.
Yeah, I remember that I had a race at Misano, I think it was Misano, in a different league, and I think it was 4 warnings and then a penalty.
Fair enough. Yeah, different games run it differently. I'm pretty sure ACC it is 3, and then your 4th is a drive.
Oh no! It wasn't ACC. It was just a different league.
Huh. Either way, might be able to change it. I don't know enough of the back office stuff to know what you can do on that front. That is the Mustang again, looking all over the back end of that McLaren. Whoa, even bigger dive on the brakes. Can I hold on to it on the inside? Can just about slows both of them up. Who's got the drive coming out onto the pit straight? It's that McLaren, the Mustang, just getting stacked up on the inside, held in tight and couldn't get on the power. And that has left the McLaren let the McLaren run away in front there and hold that position. Just jumping back to the Jordan and Patrick battle there. Jordan McGonigal and Patrick, I apologise, I'm not going to try and pronounce your surname. 619 on 113 BMW on Mustang. Let's see how this goes. It's both cars very, very good in a straight line. How well can they go? Evening, Joyce. Oh, you were going to go and enter but forgot. Oh dear, well done. It is an open pit window by the looks of things, as Dalgard, Holm, and Sorensen have all made pit stops that have been legal. So it looks like it's an open pit window for this one. Paul Mancunian is out there one lap back on Holm and is 25 seconds back on Holm and is now pitting. Wonderful. No, that's Holm. Is that Holm in the pits? Yes, that's Holm in the pits. There we go. Sorry, I'll get there eventually. How is... Oh, we have Kieran Macy is hunting down... Kenneth? I nearly called them Kieran again. Kenneth Reese. Their Team Tracks Racing. Both of those cars. That gap is hovering in and out of a second, so we'll come back and keep an eye on that one as needed. McGonigal is got ahead of Patrick. Unfortunately missed that one, but that is now McGonigal hunting down Donkerwalk again, and Varaga has pulled out a gap to half a second. As we are inside of an hour, we have 53 minutes and 14 seconds to go.
I think Varga has now lost time on Davies. I think he's been too aggressive trying to chase down Davies, and I think he's starting to wear down his tires. We see the gap ever so slowly increasing. That gap exiting La Source was not as big as it is bigger, apologies, than it was a lap or two ago. And I think he's been too eager. He's been too hungry for that P1 instead of trying to wear Davies down. He's worn himself down. I think that might come back to bite him.
Quite possibly. It depends on what happens. It's a long stop here, but it's not too horrendous. As Holm is in the pits, car number 66. We'll see. It's quite possible that the Mustang has just started to fry its tyres a little bit and is having to back off. It's not necessarily the worst on its tyres, but it's not easy on them, that's for sure. So, an hour and 23 minutes. They've gone through about 25 minutes so far of this race. And it's all still to play for at the front here. Not the gap that we'd normally see from the leader in particular, although they have run away to the tune of about 5 seconds to Jarowski. Jarowski there in the number 27 Mustang, who is about a second and a half ahead of Davis, and Reese is about 8 seconds back from Davis and being chased by Macy. And that is your top 5 and 6. Top 7th is Donkwalk. 8th is McGonigal. Patrick in 9th. And 10th is Oshakin. So that will be one to watch out. Now, Oshakin is actually starting to get onto the tail of Patrick there. So we'll hang on to this gap, this battle a little bit, and see where this goes. As it's about the closest gap currently on track.
I don't think you're quite there yet in striking range, Andrei Reshkin. But I think that he's gonna have to be smart about this as well. I've mentioned Martin Varga essentially draining his tires, trying to get past Ethan Davies. And both Varga and Patrick Baisters in front of Oreshkin have Mustangs. And we see as well, in front of Baisters, McGonigal is not far. And I think what Oreshkin might want to do is try and fake on Baisters that he's going to try and make a move for Baisters to pick up speed and eat up his tires so he can get past him more easily.
It's theoretically possible. I do know these drivers are very, very good and very, very quick. So trying to force a move and mistakes is very hard, but it is possible. So we'll see how it goes. Also, there is still a fair chunk of this race to go. We've just dropped inside of 50 minutes now. So it could be playing a bit of a waiting game, not losing time to the car in front, but not as long as you're not losing time to the car in front of that by battling, there's a decent chance that if you're still catching the third car in this train of McGonagall, then there's a decent chance that the two of you can get past that car without having to work too hard. Although I say that as McGonagall is quite a long way up the road already. To the tune of about a second. So that gap, I think, is coming out now, well and truly.
And I still was talking about fire. Vices into eating up his tires. Oh.
Sorry. Daryl now is battling with Morton Evans and Rushwitz. Mostly Morton Evans is having to do quite a lot of looking back to Morton Evans there in that recovering BMW from the earlier incidents that that car has been involved in. Daryl not making it easy. Not making it easy at all. Does run wide and does let them by in the end to hunt down the Ferrari number 25. So we shall see how that battle goes on. I'll keep an eye on timing screens on that one. Kieran Macy is still trying to keep on the tail of the number 75. Whoa, Martin Varga is dropping down the order like a stone. What happened to you? All clear down the Kemmel. This is a bit of an ambitious... This is going to be an ambitious dive, isn't it?
No, I think what happened was the same thing that happened. No, I'm wrong.
That's an ambitious dive and loses the back end on the brakes. Just tags the front end on the wall. Causes some evasive action to be taken there by Peter there. But no harm done to anybody. Now that Mustang's got a whole lot of work to do and a whole chunk of damage to the front end. That's looking a little less factory fresh than it did.
Big shame for Martin Varga for that move to not stick, but as I said earlier, he's a bit too eager. He's chewing up his tires, and I think that came back to bite him as well.
I think that was
we
just
saw how he lost the rear end.
Yeah, I think that was just being a little too ambitious and having to hold the brakes on a little bit too long into that corner. And the Mustang, the harder you trail its brakes in, the more likely you are to lose the back end, particularly through a corner like that where you're actually going uphill. It's quite easy to lose the back end holding on the brakes a little too long. Obviously had to not make contact with Davis out in front, but is now hunting down another Davies is now hunting down Davis in another Mustang.
To second, third, and fourth is essentially a battle of the Mustangs. So
yeah, the top.
We have...
third through to fourth is all three Mustangs.
That's pretty peculiar in a good way to see, I would say.
The Mustang's pretty strong, and it's three pretty strong drivers out there. I do know Hunter is a bit of a Mustang specialist. As we see, is that Holm coming out of the pits?
Another
no, that
one?
was not Mank. That was Switch. Oh, it was Upton coming out of the pits. There we go. Sorry. Kieran Macy all over the back of Reese coming out of Radion there. Now, can Reese stay in the slipstream and hold that Ferrari? I'm getting all the manufacturers mixed up tonight. Hold that Mustang, Aston Martin. No, can't quite. Is trying to look up the inside. Tries to go outside, inside. Can't quite make it stick, and is still right under the rear wing, but has to back out eventually as they drop down into the hairpin.
And I think Kieran Macy here, he might be on for something very, very soon. We see him all over the back of Kenneth the past, I think, more than 10 minutes?
Yeah, it's been about 8 laps. That he's been steadily chipping away at that gap. I think he might be pushing a little bit hard. Watch the car coming out of No Name there, getting very sideways, getting very loose on the rear end. So might just be starting to struggle with the back end of that car. Needs to cool it down and keep it smooth, otherwise that car will bite. It is the Porsche. See it again, getting a big wiggle on. Chill down, you're overdriving the car. It's always something we spot when people start getting wound up, is you can see the attitude of the cars change, and they start really overdriving them and really pushing them too hard. As 25, that is rash. What happens there? There was other cars involved. That is up to Morton Evans on Rashkovitz. That is all clear there. What happens here? Who does what? Dropping down into the hairpin. Ooh! Gets on the brakes, runs out. Ooh! Didn't really need to do that. Nearly collects Darrell in the process. Could have stayed out on the brakes and not made that secondary contact. And that would have probably made things a lot happier for both of you later on, as McGonigal and Patrick are both in the pits for their pit stop. So Durovsky is first to blink with about 43 minutes to go. They are in the pits for their scheduled stop. With that kind of time frame, it's about halfway through the race now, so we're seeing a number of cars making their pit stops as well. Poitrov?
Piotrowski?
There's a lot of the same looking names. Potrovsky?
Yeah, that's close enough.
We'll go with that and hope for the best. I probably won't pronounce it the same at all. You're in for the pits as well. So yeah, we've got a few drivers in. So Patrick and McGonigal will be the interesting ones to see where they file out, as this is out of fairly high-paying points positions so far. It costs you about a lap, line to line, on a pit stop around here. So yeah, it's about 2 minutes or so a pit stop, as that is Patrick down and away. 1:46 line to line, 32-second stop. So that was basically about as good as you're gonna get from that Mustang. Gets out nice and smoothly. Is down in 13th now, having made their pit stop. So we'll see as other drivers now start to file through and make their stops where that all shakes out to. As Hunter Davis, okay, it creates a yellow flag when they go into the pits. I need to keep an eye on that one. So that actually promotes Varga now back up into second. Is down on Davis by the tune of 9 seconds, unfortunately.
At the same time, both Varga and Davis have to pit as well.
Yes, both of these cars do still have to pit. It will be who blinks first, as Davis is in the pits, as is Macy also in the pits. Davies and Varga and Reese and Donkerwalk and Oshikin are all out, as is Patrick is all still out, and Romeo is still out. From starting, where on earth did you start? Because you have jumped. Yes, so Romeo started down in 25th and is now up to 7th as they're going through the pit stop cycle. So that's a car that has currently gained 18 places from where they started. Speaking of which, Darrell in the McLaren is up 15 places as well, and Potrovsky is up 13 from where they started, down in 28th. So we'll see how that washes out over the course of the pit stop cycle, but we'll see, and we'll see where they finish up.
I think most people that are currently battling for positions, not in the back, have not pitted. We can see everyone from 1st down to 12th, 16th and 20th have not done their pit stops.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Hunter Davis, is coming out of the pit lane. Kevin Macy and
Macy is
no, Kieran Macy
down
and Kevin
away.
Pakiri.
Pakiri is...
Not yet.
No, 14, 15, 16, 17 seconds. Everybody doing pretty good stops. Macy was slightly longer, might have had a little bit of damage, 35 seconds on that car. Car stopped, was slightly longer as a result, as was Hunter Davis, 36 seconds, meant a total line-to-line time, as Martin Varga is in the pits out of second place. So, who was he racing? That was Davis. That was Davis, not Davies, that he was racing there. And that promotes Donkervolk now up into second, as we see Varga, Reese, Oshakin, and Patrick all in together. Davies is opting to stay out, as is Donkervolk. Romeo now up into third position, as Martin Varga is into the pit and is rolling down to find their pit box. It's such a long one. Pakiri has picked up a stop-go 30 for, I'm assuming, speeding in the pit lane. That's a big old problem. That is going to drop them way down the order from 16th and continue to fall, unfortunately, with that mistake. Because that basically means you have another pit stop. Donkerwalk with with the first of the drive-throughs. That is likely to be from track limits, as there is no live stewarding. So, yeah, that will be a track limits violation there.
It's very unfortunate for Stein as well.
It is. Also, needs to be careful, because if this has fallen around when he needs to be pitting and he's running low on fuel, he may have to pit, then take the drive-through. The drive-through will have to be done separately. However, may have to take it after taking their pit stop if they haven't got enough fuel to make it through to do the extra lap that would be required on that. As Davis is out and away. Where is Macy and Oshakin are? Oshakin is down and away. Patrick is out. Macy is out on track as well.
Kenneth Fresh has a stop and go.
5. Stop go 30 for Reese. That'll be another pit lane speed limit violation. It's easy done here. It's such a long pit lane. You just want to push on as far as you can to the line, or just nudge that pit limit off just a tick earlier to try and get away. As our top two, Donkerwalk and Davis, are in the pits. The question is that Donkerwalk running their drive-through, or is this going to have to be for service, then take the drive-through? Either way, this is the first two out of the top 5 now who are as yet to pit. Upton in 15th are yet to pit. 20th of Mancunian is yet to pit. Sorensen having a bit of an off-track moment there. And it is Mancunian in 20th who is the last car on track to have not made their full pit stop yet. Pakiri is in to serve that stop go 30. Dekawa is in. Romeo is staying out and has cycled through to the lead now as a result of staying out. So that is up 28 places, I want to say. 24 places, started 25th. Obviously this is still pit stop cycles, but good going.
I mean, definitely. It'd be interesting to see where he comes out after he does pit. I have a feeling he'll be in and around the top 10, maybe, if he's lucky.
Yeah.
Daryl Longaname also has not pit. Ethan Davis is done with his pit stop, so Longaname, I don't think he'll get past him. Oh, just barely.
Just about. That is going to be hunting down that one. Reese is in for their stop go 30 as well. That's going to drop them down the order in that 75 Aston Martin.
Donkey Walk has served his drive-through before.
Yeah,
pitting,
okay,
so he has
he's opted
to
serve
go
that
in
before
again.
his service, so running a long stint on that one. Hasn't really lost any major amount of time on those around him. Is 45 seconds behind Romeo, with Daryl 6.6 back. Dekawa and Reese are in. Dekawa is in for standard service, I think? Or was that stop go 30? Let's have a quick look. On there, we have... yeah, that was their sole stop that they had to serve. Reese is in for their drive-through. That's going to be so long. It's a minute and... what's that? A minute and 15 seconds? Minute and 18 seconds that it is line to line here. It's a really long time in the pits. McGonagall and Oshikin are still have come out of the pits and are still battling side by side as they come through No Name and down into Puon here. Who can do what? This is a battle of the BMWs. Ooh, Daryl, I think, gets a little bit caught out there trying to get into the pits with Davies trying to get behind. Dunkelborg is in, Romeo is in, so we'll see how these three pan out with their stops. Ethan's going to go past Romeo very, very quickly and very soon. I don't think he's even going to be in his pit box. Just about gets to his pit box before being passed, so that's going to be about 30 or so seconds up the road that Davis is going to be by the time Romeo gets going. Dunkelwalk and Daryl are down trundling down the order, as is Romeo now. Into 5th. Macy puts him down into 6th. This Oshikin McGonagall battle goes through. Romeo is down and away and is out in 9th position, so that is up 16 places from where he started and is hunting down Patrick, who is 12 seconds up the road.
And as I said, I did expect Romeo to be in and around the top 10 after he comes out of the pit lane, and I'm glad to see that I was correct because he's done a very good race so far. He's gained 16 positions, you said?
Yep, 16 positions from where he started.
Yeah, and with just over half an hour to go, I think he can gain some of the positions that he lost while pitting. He has an 11-second gap to Peter Basters in front. I think in half an hour he can...
It's around 12 or so seconds. So that will be a tricky one to make back up as... that was a bit of a running wide moment. Ooh, 2, almost trying to make it 3 wide. That is 3 Mustangs, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, all going for position at once. Oh, a little bit of a tag trying to come across the front of Varga there, and that is Varga in 3rd, Davis in 2nd, and Davies 13.5 seconds up the road in 1st, and you're not going to have wanted us to catch that on film, going that far up the inside of Radion at the top of the hill there. Varga now hunting down Davis for 2nd place. Question is, do they try and hunt down Davies, who is 14 seconds up the road, or do they battle themselves into a standstill and get caught by the 27 Mustang that is the one chasing them down of Raka? Yuka's... I can't pronounce either of your names. If you can, That would be amazing.
Łukasz Rajka.
Ushkash, thank you. I apologise. I looked at that one. I don't even know where to start with that. But thank you, Ushkad. In fourth there, could potentially be on for a podium position if any of the cars in front trip over each other. Getting past a lap down car there that's another other Mustang. Is that? No, that is not Upton. Not Manchester.
Having mentioned him, I don't remember us mentioning Łukasz Rajka at all this race. He's just come out of nowhere after the pit cycle.
So there is, some of the drivers are running multiple drivers per car. So because this wasn't meant to be an endurance event, it is a team event, so you can run up to 2 drivers.
That would explain why we haven't seen Łukasz Rajka yet.
As Denton Jones is now in the Morton Motorsport car, in 18th.
That is the other Denton Jones, I think.
No, it was Morton Jones.
I was Morton. Oh, Denton Morton.
They're both double-barreled surnames. Welcome to the fun of English surnames when they start getting very, very long and double-barreled like that.
Oh, we have double barrels here in Croatia as well.
So let's jump back with this battle. This is McGonigal on Patrick now. McGonigal has dropped right off the back of Oshikin and is now under fire well and truly from Patrick. Whew, I thought it might get slightly less hectic after the pit stop cycle, but it hasn't really. There's still 2. Oh, Ethan Davis in trouble. That was with the that bubblegum car of Denton Jones, number 8. Let's see what happens here. Denton Jones gets very much across the curb and runoff area at top of Aruj and Radion. Is this going to be a really over-ambitious move from Davis?
I don't think so, or it might be.
Past. Oh no! I'm not going to call anything there. I'm not a steward. I really, really feel sorry for anybody that does have to deal with that one post race.
That's an odd one. That's a very odd one because we saw that.
I think what happened was Denton just rolled out of the brakes because they thought that Davies was clear of the front of them, but wasn't quite as clear. And as they rolled out the brakes, the car just carried a little bit more momentum than expected and just ran into the back of them. It's a really easy thing to do. I've done it myself. It's really, really easy to do. It's a little bit silly, but as a backmarker, it can be done, and it's so frustrating when you do it. I think they just rolled out of the brakes a little too early to get around the corner. Unfortunately,
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. From that angle, it looked like Davies thought he was clear of the car.
Either way.
I think that as a lapped car, that it's your responsibility to let the drivers that are a lap up through cleanly.
Yeah.
And as much as that's not something that, is entirely their fault, I think you still have the responsibility, primarily.
Yeah, as Varga has got past Davis, Hunter Davis there, and is now hunting down Davies, who is, after that incident, is now 7.5 seconds up the road with 25 minutes 38 seconds to go. As we see Reese and Longaname, Reese going past Longaname there. I'm sure there is a reason why Darryl runs Longaname as his surname on this. I'm assuming it's spectacularly long. Or that is actually his surname, at which point fair play. As McGonigal has been passed by Patrick there, and Patrick is now getting on up the road to try and catch Oshikin, who is 4.3 up the road for that little gaggle of cars that were battling together. Davis being absolutely dropped by Varga now. Varga is over a second ahead of Davis in the pursuit of Davies, but these two are trading lap times every single lap. We'll see what they are when they both come across the line very shortly. You can see car number 6 on the map there is the lead car, that is the triangle. 86 is the Varga Mustang, who is just the kind of the other side of the complex. Let's go down and have a look. Can you spot the number 6 car on the road? Or not quite? No, not quite. You know they're going to be there, but they're going to be just a tick up the road to be able to see with that car.
I think looking at the mirrors here as well, Martin definitely will be, but I think we might as well. Look at the speed that Davis is getting. I think he might be on for a move into La Source if he has set himself up correctly.
No, not going to be close enough here. The gap does stay about the same on the timing screens. The distance comes down because the speed comes down. So that's what's known as the concertina effect. As the speed comes down, so the distance you travel reduces, so the distance between each of you reduces as well. The gap holding around 0.8, 0.9 of a second all the way through there.
Not quite close yet for Hunter Davies.
No, not quite. Let's jump back to Helicam. Also, if anybody has noticed, we do have Driver of the Day running, so if you have spotted anybody out there on track tonight that you have particularly liked what they've been doing, it is !vote space and then the driver number that you want to allocate that to. You get 1 vote on Twitch and 1 vote on YouTube. So if you have both, you can vote for somebody twice. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for TikTok.
I think, realistically, Pierre Romeo might be the biggest contender for Driver of the Day.
Yeah, he's done a heck of a job. He's a very, very good, very quick driver. What's his tally of positions? Up 16 places still. Gap to the car in front is 8.8 seconds. To Jordan McGonigal now is the next car he is hunting down. So he's got about 9 seconds or so to catch, but that gap is slowly coming down. I'm going to chuck us back to this Davis-Varga battle, because that's about the only thing that's on track. If there's anybody who does want to see... no, it doesn't work on... Thanks, Henry, for the check on that one. It doesn't work on YouTube. Feel free to try it on Twitch. If it does, fantastic. It's been... there might have been an update and APIs have changed. In fact, I might just try that myself on Twitch. It does work on Twitch, I can confirm. So if anybody wants to jump onto there, feel free to chuck it in to the Twitch chat. It does work. All the links can be found in the description for all of that, as to our Discord as well. There is also Discord memberships, memberships through the Toggle website that will get you... Basically, they help to keep the lights on here. It's very helpful. It means we can bring you content like this. And other such content that you've been seeing all week. So feel free to jump onto there. I believe it starts from about £1 a month, and it is fantastic. You can do... you can reserve driver numbers and such likes. Have a look at all of the perks that you get. Driver numbers, advanced access to events, and that kind of thing. So... all good there. All sorts of shapes of goodness and fun that you can be had there for that. And like I say, it helps keep stuff like this, keeps the lights on, keeps the servers running. We in the comms team basically do all this for fun in our spare time. So it is literally all going towards... That is a huge crash for Donkervolk. Let's go and find out what happened there. Unfortunately, it's Erosion Radio, and there is no such thing as a small accident there. Or at least no such thing as a small brown trouser moment. Talk us through what happens.
Gets on the curb, goes wide, gets loose, and hits the barriers
Yeah.
quite a number of times.
I think the car bottoms out on the dip on that curb, and it is game over for that car. Unfortunately, that is Donkervolk dropping it back down the order.
We've seen a couple of people through Rouge go a bit more. You could say even cutting the corner, but that would help the car not be as unstable. Donkervolk, on the other hand, went over the curb, and that seemed to have unsettled the car.
Yeah.
And he tried to correct himself, overcorrected maybe, and just went into the barrier, and that's game over.
Yeah, you kind of have to eat that curb quite a lot, because I don't know how obvious it is unless a car goes over it, but it's actually really off camber going across the top there. So you kind of have to, you either have to not go anywhere near the curb or absolutely chew it to pieces. Because if you do what Donkervolk did, it really unsettles the car and it gets very uncomfortable to just eating wall.
You could have seen as well while watching Kieran Macy here, while he was going through Eau Rouge, how much rubber on the curb there is. If we can, there's no one nearby Eau Rouge. Oh no, there is. The
113. We'll stay with this battle here for a second, because this looks like Macy might have something on the Mustang. Mustang gets a little bit of a wiggle over the curb, as we're looking back across the rear wing of the Ford there. Let's jump to Macy and do that and see how much of how well they're going to be able to draw a diagram of the back end of a Mustang without having to look at one. I think the answer is pretty well by the end of this. It's very much staring at the back of this car and is hunting it down as much as they can. Howling flat six.
Tell you what, I think there might be a move on here.
Yeah, the Mustang is dragging that Porsche right up behind it. I had to back out of it there, going through that one, and brakes both pretty evenly matched on the brakes. Porsche is very, very agile through here compared to the Mustang. Mustang is a big wiggle on. Can the Porsche make its party trick and take this one to the Mustang? Going side by side down the pit straight are going to be... Ooh. Mustang just squeezes a little too hard there, and that is game over for Kieran. That was a little bit unnecessary and a little bit uncalled for to squeeze quite that much on the outside of that one.
Shame, really shame. We had a very good battle on our hands. And it's a shame to see it end that way, but at the same time, we've got 16 minutes left in this race, and I think Kieran will catch up.
Kieran is definitely significantly faster. Even that last lap.
We can see. I think Ratchka is letting him through. He is.
Yes, he has. He's realised the mistake he's made and has let him back through. That is fantastic driver etiquette there. Realising that you've beansed it up quite a bit and then letting the other driver through, back through. Not
lovely to see the initial accident, but it is lovely indeed to see the kindness of, I guess you could say kindness, the respect, the fairness of Ratchka in the end to let him through. Yeah,
very nicely done. Good driver etiquette. We like to see that here at Toga. We promote as much as that kind of thing as we can. It will, if Kieran does opt to put that to the stewards, that will be taken into account, I'm sure, as part of it. Kieran is I think Kieran is one of the staff here. I can't remember exactly what he does. A lot of us have multiple hats. I'm one of the few people that doesn't. Speaking of which, I need to put the schedule out for next week. Sorry, that was a complete brain fart. That will be my job after this, is to go and put the schedule out for the events we have next week. Speaking of which, that will involve having a poke at our calendar on SimGrid. By all means, you can find all our events there and everything that we get up to, upcoming events, ongoing events, and you will be able to make entries there for those. So love to see anybody that's wanting to come and join, irrespective of skill level. There will be events for you. The sign-ups are open for Season 15 rookies if you are all new and shiny to this, or even just not necessarily new and shiny, or not the quickest and wanting to improve. It's a fantastic way of getting going and picking up some speed and confidence. Similarly, you've got our Pro Series, which has, I believe, one event left? GT3 Pro Series races. Yes, it is Suzuka this week. It will be this Tuesday. Will be the Suzuka round, which will be the last round of that one. On Tuesday night, we also have a 12-hour event this weekend. It is a joint event with CRF at Watkins Glen. So if you are interested in doing very, very long races with you and your mates, come join in. Feel free to come join in, have some fun for that one. We'll cover as much of that as we can here in the comments box. So yeah, that's I believe that's all of the events we have next week coming up. So yeah, that will be what we're up to this coming week. But everything is on there. There's the Summer Sprint Series, which is a hot lap series. Starting at Silverstone. Go and get your lap times in. See where you finish up there. There is also a Porsche Cup Car event. The Manufacturers Cup is also starts on May 6th. And the 3rd of May for the Sprint Series. Go do various sign-ups and get started on all of that as well. Lots of good stuff, and also we have the Mini Endurance. Is that still going? That will be the last round at Hungaro on the 10th of May. So that's another one to go. There are spaces for that event as well. For the last round there, that is 4 hours of the Hungaro Ring. So, yeah, have a look on our SimGrid page. This is celebrating the fact that we have 5,000 members on SimGrid. So, well done to everybody. You're the ones that mean that we have something to sit here and commentate about. So, keep going. It's good fun. We like it. Makes our life interesting if there's multiple of you on track.
It is.
And yeah, come and have a go. Bring your mates. It's all good fun.
Speaking of having multiple people on track, I feel like we've lost someone else, because I think there were 21 people, but now we're down to 20. We started with 28, if I'm correct, and we are now down to 20 with just over 11 minutes to go.
Yeah, with 11 just cleared, 10 minutes 53 seconds to go, we are looking at Patrick and... No, that's not. That is Ukras and Oshkin.
Oreshkin.
Battling
Oreshkin and Oreshkin, yep.
Yes. Are battling out together as they go through Puon. That is Mustang. Ford on Mustang. Ford being Mustang. BMW being a little bit more agile than the Ford, but the Ford being a little bit more of slightly more of a grunt and go car. There's honestly not a huge amount between the two of them. But they are very different cars to drive on track, I will tell you that much.
They do, and I think that these two can be a bit comfortable, but not so much, because the gap to Patrick Bases and P7 behind them is around 4.5 seconds. but one mistake and they can both tumble down below him. And John McGonigal, I think, is there as well. He's only 6 tenths behind Patrick Baestas, or at least, no apologies, he's 5 seconds behind Patrick
Yes.
Baestas. Looking down, is that a glitch, or has the 49 of Upton not pitted yet?
Oliver Upton has not performed a legal pit stop. Has performed a stop, but it didn't clear the pit stop. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. Might not have put fuel in, might not have put tyres in. Not sure. Might not have had driver, been able to do a driver swap if there is multiple people registered in that car. So that may be one that gets, has to be sorted out after the fact with the stewards if their second driver did not turn up and has opted to leave Upton on their own. So, unfortunately, I don't have
I
a
will
full...
check on the sim grid.
Yes, you I was gonna say, I don't have
that
a full
is
list.
that is indeed the case. The 49 is signed up with Oliver Upton and Konrad Vasovic. And I do not see Vasovic anywhere.
It looks like, for whatever reason, I'm not going to cast judgment. It may be something came up at the last minute or whatever, but that will be something that will be dealt with post-race.
Very unfortunate for the 49. Pretty decent B12 they're holding right now. Oliver.
Yeah, I believe it will be I think it's a 90-second penalty you get for that.
Ooh.
But they will. I'm sure if that is the case, a ticket will be opened, and it will be. The stewards will deal with that one as necessary. We'll jump back to this Andrei Ushkin battle and see how this is going.
He's not quite there yet, Oreshkin, but I am curious as to how much Rachka had worn his tyres while trying to defend from Kieran Macy.
That is very true.
And
that
how
is the last start that
Oreshkin...
we saw this, that Mustang battling. So, I'd go with probably still a reasonable amount, although we do have 7 minutes remaining of this race. So everybody out there is going to be struggling with tyres that are quite tired and a bit worn out. They're going to have done 40 odd minutes or so on those. They're going to start to feel it. There is a very large drop off after an hour with these cars on the tyres. You start to notice it around the 40 to 50 minute mark. They start to get a little bit cooked, and tyre pressures and temperatures can get a little bit funky and start going all over the place.
That being said, I feel like Reshkin did gain on Rachka there down the Camel Straight and through the corners as well. But as we said multiple times this stream, the Mustang just peels off on the straights.
If you can
but through
get
the
a
slower
good run,
turns,
if you can get a good run, it will go. It will pick up and it will go. It's a car I've driven a good chunk. I'm going to argue about whether I get back out in that or whether I get back in the in the Mercedes. That's the one. For the next race series we get onto. So yeah, we'll have fun on that one. And see how that goes. But yeah, the Mustang is a lot of fun to drive. It's a big, brutal American muscle car at heart. And it feels like one. But it is surprisingly good handling, and you can throw it around quite a bit. You get it hooked up, and you really can throw it up. Ooh, as you can pronounce that. Rachka, there we go. Gets all sorts of shapes of sideways over the curbs. There, coming out of curve pull threat, and again up onto the curb there. Coming up through to the bus stop. But after all of that, with all the time that was gained, Oshakin still can't get close enough to actually affect any kind of move on that Mustang.
I don't know. He's gonna have to stay in the slipstream like his life depends on it through this little straight before Origin Radion.
Yeah,
And if he can stay close enough through there, I think he can gain through the slipstream enough to try and maybe make a move
the tricky bit
into
here though
Lecom.
is if you're too close behind going through Radion, you
The
do
dirty
lose
air.
quite a bit of front end on the car, and you actually have to back out of the corner quite a bit. And I think that's what's happened is they got a bit too close and have had to back out. Although that gap is starting to get eaten up quite nicely through on the brakes, there, making up more time than the natural difference there.
And you got 4 minutes left, just under 4 minutes left to make that move. So I think the pressure is all on Oreshkin more than it is on Rajka.
It's going to have to be a very wide Mustang, and that BMW is going to have to hope for a bit of a mistake. Although we've started to see the chinks in the armour from that Mustang. It's made a couple of mistakes here and there, and it's cost time. We saw that coming out of No Name there last time by, as they are out of Puon and down into Piff Paff.
He's very, very close through these corners. The Mustang, of course, not as good through the
Not
slow
quite as good through the
corners.
corners. The BMW a little bit more agile. It's a little bit lighter of a car, and a little bit less front heavy.
I think it goes down to the setup. Is the setup open?
Sorry, what's that?
I think it goes down to the setup as well that they're using. Is the setup open?
Yep,
in this
setup
series?
is entirely open. To use whatever it is you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah, I think that's something we forgot to factor in through the entirety of this race. That different drivers might run different setups.
Oh yeah, completely. It's why you see these very, very tight battles between the same cars and them not making lap time in the same places. They will make similar lap times in similar places, but it won't be identical. Obviously, the balance of performance that we are using for this is off of the, I believe it is the, I want to say Coach Dave, but it's not. It is the LFM BOP and ballast, so that means the Mustangs are up 27 kilos from where they started. The McLaren is up 9, and the Porsche is up 3. The BMW is up 6. So yeah, there is a sizable chunk of
Mustang in front of Reshkin.
yes, a sizable chunk of ballast that Mustang has had to endure to try and slow it down, which would be why we see it not picking up quite as quickly out of the corners. Now that kind of amount of weight, 5 or 6 kilos up to about 10, you can kind of get away with and drive around because it's about the same as carrying a bit more to a lot more fuel than you should be. After about 10 kilos, it starts to get more than a fuel error, and it's a lot harder to drive around. So that's why we're seeing the Mustang not necessarily picking up and accelerating quite as fast as it would otherwise do.
And as we enter the final minute of the race as well, I think it's all enough in here for Reshkin.
It is.
And
that is our leader.
There we
Ethan
go.
Davies is on, just started their final lap as they're coming up to lap. That is Paul Mancunian in that recovering 808 Mustang. And I think that is Mancunian trying to unlap himself on Delgard / B, possibly having been lapped by Delgard. Either way, that is this. And Mancunian gets out of the throttle, going up off the top of Eau Rouge, tucks the indicator on, and gets out of the way of the faster car. So nicely through. Oshakin now very much under, putting the pressure on the Mustang. Ooh, looks like the BM struggled out of the hairpin there and lost a big chunk of time.
I think that might be game over for Reshkin. unless Rachka makes a massive mistake through the rest of this lap. But I think he went a bit wide there through the source, got on the curb, unsettled the car a bit, and had to slow down to
back
correct
out of it on the
himself.
exit.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think unless he can put in the lap of his life here, or unless Rashka makes a fatal error, well, fatal quote unquote, then I think Rashka has P5 sealed.
I think it might be that. This is the battle for 5th overall. We shall see how this pans out. Towards the end of this, we'll follow this through as our leader has come up out of campus and Kerpel Frere and into the last, I believe that's Bruxelles.
Look at Rashkin, look at Rashkin!
Rushkin going for the outside, closes the door, closes the door well and truly, but has the door closed well and truly by the Mustang, has to back out of it a little bit of a wiggle for the BMW coming out of that last one, down through the bottom of the circuit.
The leader has finished the race.
And that is going to be the leader across the line, which is your winner, Ethan Davies there in the McLaren. We're going to stay with this battle all the way to the line with this Mustang BMW battle.
I think Oreshkin might be trying to set himself up for a move there. The question is whether he's close enough. He is not close enough. He has to hope Oreshka to
for a light up of the tyres,
here.
which the Mustang doesn't. BMW lights up its tyres, and that gives 5th to Rackers there in the Mustang. Very nicely done. That rounds out your top 5, 6, and Peters comes through in 7th. Those two battling, that 113 Mustang was slowly catching up to the back of them, as well as Potrovsky is coming through to come round out the top 10 behind McGonigal and Romeo. Romeo has... how many did Romeo gain at the end of that one? 17 by the end of that one.
I think he's warranted those donuts he's doing.
Yep, there's a lot of celebratory donuts going on, and that is your top 10. Dekawa is going to come home in 11th, followed by Upton, who is right down the bottom of the circuit, along with Reese will be the last two cars to come home then to finish the race. Any drivers that are listening in, if you want to come and have a chat, you're welcome to. It will be a relatively quick one, given that it's about 9:30 in the evening here in the UK. But either way, if you do want to come and have a chat, you're welcome to, and we'll drag you into the comms box and see what's what. And that is Reese across the line to finish up there. Oliver Upton there, with 132nd penalty. That will be looked at by the stewards, I'm sure. So, where is OBS? Driver of the day. Where is the stream? Let's just change. Excuse me, I can find out the answer to that one as everybody is. That's the wrong button. That's that one. Why is driver of the day not showing on screen? Well, I know there was 2 votes for Peter Romeo. I don't think anybody else managed to vote or did vote, so I think it goes to Romeo.
I think that's deserving. Gaining how many positions? 17?
16, 17 places by the end of that race, so very well done there. Very much deserved for everything that you got on with and got up to that, so very nicely done. So, very nicely done. We shall give that a couple of minutes and see if anybody there. Any particular big highlights that you really enjoyed, or from what was out on track?
I think the battle between Davies and Varga for first place early on was good. This battle, of course, for P5 between Rashka and Oreshkin. That was quite an interesting battle before the pit cycle, I think, between Baestas, McGonagall, Oreshkin, I think.
Yeah, that was the whole.
For P8, P9, I think. No, P7. I forget.
Green light, go, go, go.
It sounds about right for what was going on there. So yeah, very nicely. Kevin Pikiri hit spacebar to select myself for the driver swap. Unfortunately, that shifted to second gear. Race over. Was on for 10th. Oh, that sucks. That explains why you got your speed limit, pit lane speed limit there. So yeah, that's oops comes to mind on that one. So it's an easy thing done. We don't get so much in the way of mechanical failures here, punctures, that kind of thing, engine failures, etc. Although you can break your engine in this game. It's quite impressive for your manager.
If you want to.
You can. But yeah, you do get disconnects, etc. That can cause you problems. Okay. Unfortunately, it looks like we might not have anybody coming to say hi tonight. So, any last words from yourself?
Well, my last words are that this was a very enjoyable race. No, really full on energy, so there wasn't much of me to hear. That made sense. But it was very fun to watch this race, very fun to commentate, and I'm very happy to have been here today, and hopefully there is something next Saturday as well.
Yeah, next week we have a 12 Hours of Watkins Glen. That is a joint event with us and CRF, so keep an eye on everything for that one. There is also the event on Tuesday, which is the Pro Series, GT3 Pro, so we'll have that on Tuesday. I think that looks like that is everything for this week. So yeah, go check out if you've liked what you've seen, liked what you've heard, etc., etc. Come say hi over on Discord, and we'll welcome you with open arms to any of our series that we have open here. So, from myself and Lorenzo, we shall bid you a good night and catch you on Tuesday.